Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. All right, let's talk about the Repo Repocalypse. The coming D-Day for Repo is tomorrow. Do I think that Steve Mnuchin, Jamie Dimon, Jerome Powell, and friends have figured this thing out? I think we'll get past tomorrow, but not long. And the way we get past tomorrow is to cook the books with the 1.5 trillion in U.S. $100 bills that Steve Mnuchin, our lovely lying Treasury Secretary, came out to say on, what was it? Lou Dobbs on December 17th. Came out, Mnuchin's, Treasury Secretaries aren't allowed to talk about the $100 bill. Came out and said, oh my God, we have $1.5 trillion worth of $100 bills floating around. They're all in foreign banks. They're everywhere. We are flooded. Here's what he said, quote, literally, a lot of these $100 bills are sitting in bank vaults all over the world. Now, why would he say that? So that the banks can cook their books for tomorrow night. The end of the year, the banks are going to cook their books saying, hey, we got an extra 1.5 trillion in cash that we never counted before, but we're going to count it now because it's just sitting in our vaults in Zurich, in Asia, and in Africa, in South America. We got it. Don't worry. Don't you worry your little head. We got it. Jamie Dimon especially. Now, yes, of course, there is obvious benefits to holding a $100 bill instead of saying, I have a $100 bill in the bank. And that's the same reason we hodl, the same reason silver investors should pull their silver into their own account is because there's no third-party risk. If you have $100, it'll be worth $100. Now, the purchasing power of that $100 won't be as much over time, but at least you don't have them sitting in a third-party bank as an electronic debit. Why? Because that bank goes down, you lose your $100. If you have the $100 bill, you don't lose your $100 if the bank goes down. Now, the fact that banks like JP Morgan are going to claim that they have 1.5 trillion $100 bills in the bank at the end of year book cooking event, and then say, oh yeah, we have it in the repo market because it is cash, it can be used in the repo market. That's a stretch, but that's what they're doing. And you want to know how I know this? Take a look at this. It was December 17th when Steve Mnuchin came out. This is from the private Road to Ruta. So all you public road members, get a little treat. Check out on 12/17 at night. It was a Sunday night. Was it a Sunday night? I don't know if it was a Sunday night. But what happened was, right in the middle of December, all of a sudden the repo cumulative and repo overnights and term repos settled down and actually got cut in half. They were doing 50 to 70, 80, 90, 100 a night. You get to the 17th, all of a sudden it's 42, 26, 39, 28, 29, 30. It just drops. And all the term repos got flipped for a little less than what they were. Now, what does this tell me? It's not that the problem is solved. That's just not the case. Problem is not solved. What the problem with the banks have right now is that they're maxed out. They can't take any more Fed money on the short-term repos. They need the long-term purchases of treasuries by the end of the year. And how are they going to facilitate that? They're going to claim they have 1.5 trillion in $100 bills. Will that help them? I have no idea. JP Morgan especially, the biggest liar, cheater, stealer there is on planet Earth. As I've been talking about, if you look at my last 3 or 4 videos, they're all about JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. Why? Because that's where the important manipulation happens. Now, Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan are one of 3 banks, only 3 banks that can do sponsored repos. Basically, people who are locked out of the Fed repo market, locked out of the Fed spigot, can get their money through JP Morgan. This is a lot of hedge funds. That market is $300 billion with a B. $300 billion. They need that money. These are hedge funds that are hyper leveraged to this stuff. if they don't get their money, they're going to have to sell other assets, so you'll see the stock market go down, which we're starting to see already today. By tomorrow. But that's the exact time that the banks like JP Morgan have to tighten their belt and can't lend into the repo market. So it's getting good. More proof right here that the banks can't take any more repo, even though the Fed has opened the spigots, is today's action was supposed to be big, right? This is the Fed announcement that they announced the middle of December. And right here, this was going to be a big one. The 12/30, which is today, 1 day forward repo settlement. So they were going to do a 1 day, call it a 1 day forward, but settle it on Monday, Tuesday, on Thursday. It was ridiculous. But they did, look at the footnote. 1 day forward settlement operation will be conducted 10 a.m. on 12/30 and will settle. No, that's not it's right, this one here. The one tomorrow is settling 2 days later. This one, $75 billion, was up for loan today, and look what they got. 18.65. Wait, no, that's the straddle one. You see, they lied again. Here's what's going on. Yeah, this one, the 1 day forward settle repo. Oh, here it is. 1 day forward settle repo will be conducted on 12/30. It will settle on 12/31, but it will mature on 1/2. So they're doing a 1 day forward repo on 12/30, and they're settling it on January 2nd. They are doing literally backflips trying to make this thing work. The question is, will it work? Or will the plumbing get clogged up tomorrow? I think we're going to see some tomorrow night. So over the weekend. They need this money over the first of the year. They have to cook their books, but at the same time have all this money in. The interesting thing about banking, there's only 4 times a year you really have to tell people what you're doing, which is embarrassing. And it's the end of every quarter. So December 31st is the end of the quarter. They got to cook their books to present to all the regulators and all the new regulators that they're playing within the rules. They can screw up and do anything they want for the entire quarter. But on December 31st, here's how they cook their books. We've seen it in silver, massive amount of times through JP Morgan. We're going to see it again, this time through JP Morgan on the derivative side of silver. But I think what's happening right now is JP Morgan was the number 1 lender into the repo market. They are full up. They can't take any more short-term Treasury repo action. Sorry. JP Morgan saying sorry to everybody. Oh, Steve Mnuchin. We have, let's say JP Morgan claims they have $1 trillion in $100 bills. All of a sudden they have $1 trillion that gets freed up. They're going to need $300 billion of it just for the hedge funds who do the sponsored repos. So all this is going on behind the scenes. It's complete bullshit. What'll happen? I don't know. It's up to JP Morgan whether or not this system survives or not. And they haven't been too kind to the powers that be. That's why JP Morgan's up under RICO charges for silver manipulation. So we will see. It could be that JP Morgan holds back $300 billion from their sponsored repo. And what would happen then? You'll see a stock market dive. You're going to see all kinds of problems as the hedge funds have to sell other assets. And don't forget, they're highly levered. One bank controls all that. And Steve Mnuchin has given them a lifeline if they want to use it. Just claim you have $1 trillion in $100 bills. Welcome to America. So the other repos that were done today, we had a 18.65. That again, they could have done 75 billion. They only did 18 because they can't. They don't have the room on their balance sheet. And then we have this one, an overnight repo. Overnights don't even matter anymore. They don't even matter anymore because it's not going to get them past December 31st. But they don't have the capacity anyway. So that's why it's so low, 30.8. And then this one is the term repo. Now the term repo should have blown sideways, should have been oversubscribed, but look what happened. This term repo was right here, at least 35 billion, but they only took 8.3 billion. Why? Because they can't take any more. Their balance sheets are already sideways, and then December 31st is when they have to declare. So on the overall right now, we are looking at the total bank bailout needed for tonight, not tomorrow night, just tonight, is $466 billion. $466 billion. Now the question is, what's going to happen tomorrow night? The end of the year reporting for the banksters. It's such a ridiculous game. How are they going to spruce up their balance sheets? Or are they not? Are they going to take care of themselves and not lend into the repo market, giving all these hedge funds the money to play with, who are leveraged 100 to 1? Because right now, it doesn't look like they're lending into they don't have the capacity to lend to the hedge funds. Unless we factor in an extra 1.5 trillion that Steve Mnuchin gave the banks the ability to just claim. Raise your hand and claim you have $1.5 trillion of $100 bills in your vaults in foreign countries. That's how criminal this whole thing is. Silver, on the other hand, is just, they're trying to hold it under $18. The good guys, ultimately in the end, the good guys take silver up, destroy the banks. What day it happens, I can't tell you. It'll be interesting tomorrow. I'll be doing a live chat tomorrow. I'll be talking about the repos and where I think it's going to go. Could go anywhere. But no matter what happens tomorrow, it's not going to fix the problem. They still currently have $466 billion on overnight bailouts. And this isn't even counting the end of year bullshit that they're going to pull. If they pull nothing, then we start from 466 and you keep moving in January. The end of the year solves no problems. The banks aren't taking any more repo because they can't. Their balance sheet can't handle it. It's the hedge funds that are going to really suffer. And that'll be 2 or 3 days, and then their derivatives kick off, which is hundreds of trillions. Boom, 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 boom. We got a very exciting. Already had a very exciting December. We're going to have a very exciting January too. 2020 is looking like, whew, that's going to be the craziest year ever. So hang tight and hang tough. Stay on the road to Ruta. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. Don't forget, subscribe to the private road right here. You get all the inside scoop, and you get one very token, which is going to be it. If the old system collapses, if the exchanges where all the criminality happens collapses, the U.S. government will be looking for a solution. Veritasium Regimilton has a solution, but the SEC has shut them down. Everybody has shut them down because they know that fixes the problem of rehypothecation of assets. A peer-to-peer capital asset transfer. Reggie was working with the Jamaican Stock Exchange. What happened? The SEC shut him down behind his back before they even pressed any charges, and the charges were ridiculous. We are going to win this battle. It's not going to be easy, but we will win. So if you want to join the Road to Ruta private road, you get a very token and the coolest silver coin ever, which I think in 2020 will probably pay for your membership. That is not a guarantee. But check out that coin. Woohoo! Very cool. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. Talk to you later.